This is Millennial Money Mindset. If you want the fruits, you need the roots. Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to talk about habits today, one of the most important aspects of life. And listen right to the end, because this is one of the episodes that's going to actually change your life if you follow through the steps we're going to go through today. We're going to go through why habits are so important, what habits actually are, and how you at home can set habits to make you a better life, have more money in your pocket, more time in your day, and more happiness in your life. So is that something you want? Then subscribe to the channel. Please like, and please tell a friend about Millennial Money Mindset and Money Tips. So my name's Neil Doig. I'm the founder of Money Tips. I thought there was a better way to help people with their money. I used to be a financial advisor, didn't feel comfortable charging tens of thousands of pounds to give people financial advice. So I wanted to, rather than that, I decided to create my own company called Money Tips. And we're different. We offer a new and unique solution. So we empower you to make your own decisions with money. And by doing that, you can save thousands, if not tens of thousands of pounds over your investing lifetime. So money worries tops a poll as the biggest cause of stress and worry today. And we aim to reduce this stress and worry. And today's video is about habits. So habits are so important. And I've just realized this today. Today I started a new habit. My fitness has been pretty bad for the last year. I haven't really been going to the gym or playing football or running like I used to. I've had a daughter she's now 13 months old. And so it hasn't really been kind of my priority. But today I'm starting a new habit, and I thought it'd be more what better day to do a video on habits than starting a new habit. So today I did skipping, I did some press ups and some sit ups, and my aim is to do this every day. For going forward, at least for this year. So I'll keep you updated about these habits, because habits are so important. And this is one of the things that can literally change your life. So if you're listening to this at home or watching this on YouTube, if you're listening to this on the podcast, getting into a habit is one of the most important things to do. So we're going to go through, essentially, we've got a few books that we're going to cover. So Atomic Habits by James Clear. This book has been the most mentioned on the podcast, on the Millennial Money Mindset podcast. So we're going to go through kind of the key points in James Clear's book. It's sold millions of copies, and I've read it. It's one of the only books that I've bought on Audible and on print version. So it's quite impactful. And also 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. This has been, you can see this copy, it's been moth-eaten, and it's coming apart because I've read it so much. I literally read it every day. This book is one of the best books I've ever read, and I think it's so good that it should be taught in schools. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, or at least taught in the workplace. And also my own book, Millennial Money Mindset. If you want the fruits, you need the roots. I talk a lot about habits and how you can automate your savings to give yourself some more me time. So let's get right into this. We're going to talk about why, what, and then how of habits. So if you're following along, please like, please subscribe, and please forward this to a friend, because it adds to it. We're trying to build this channel and trying to build this podcast and build a business to put more money into your pocket, more time in your day, and more happiness in your life. So first of all, why start habits? So it's to make life easier. So we all want an easier life if we can. We're bombarded with different tasks that we need to do today. Maybe your boss tells you you need to do loads of more tasks. We have a mental load that's at a maximum. So we have more things like social media. We have more technology buzzing in our pockets, or telephones going off, text messages, WhatsApp. So we're bombarded with messages today more than ever, and our mental loads at maximum. So if we can do something that makes this easier, makes our life easier, then why not do this? So essentially it's about making life easier. And it's also, habits are also there to become who you want to be, the person you want to become. So actually, where do you want to be in 5 years' time? Where do you want to be in 1 year's time? Where do you want to be in 10 years' time? And by setting up habits, daily habits, you're much likely to achieve the person you want to become. You might want to save more. You might want to run a marathon. You might want to stop smoking, for instance. And just doing daily habits is going to make this much easier. And that's what life's all about. It's actually making life easier, making it more fun. And it means you can spend more time with your friends and your family, or have more me time to live the life that you want to. So, and it's going to, by having habits, actually, it's going to save you time as well. You're not actually going to have to do kind of the mundane task. If you can automate this or do this automatically, this is going to make it much more impactful for your life. And it's actually going to make it much more likely to achieve what you're going to do in life. So if you can actually make it automatic, if you don't have to think or stress about it, and increase that mental load that we talked about, then it's much more likely that you're going to actually achieve this in life. So, and also, if you know about, I talked about compound interest in the past. If you're aware of compound interest, it's basically the interest on your interest, and it's a mathematical phenomenon, if I can say that. Albert Einstein said it was the 8th wonder of the world. So that's compound interest. And essentially it applies not only to money, but also applies to your daily habits or what you want out of life. So if you can do things every day, that compound effect, you're going to kind of get that compound effect. The way I think about it, habits is a bit like, the best analogy that I can come up with, it's a bit like a rocket ship. So imagine you're a rocket ship and you're about to leave. This is my, the world there. So this is the rocket ship. And the hardest bit of a habit is the first initial stage. So think of it like a rocket, and the amount of fuel that's used in that rocket is getting off of the platform. So if you ever watch like a NASA rocket taking off, the amount of fuel that it uses for that initial 5-10 seconds, it's incredible. So all that fuel is used up in that first kind of 5-10 seconds. And then once it's got that momentum, so you think, I've talked about Newton's laws of motion. It's so inertia, get through that inertia, momentum, and then every action is an equal and opposite reaction. And it's exactly the same with habits. So that first kind of 5-10 seconds of that rocket ship going off is the hardest. That's where it's going to use the most fuel. And then once it gets into orbit, once it's going to kind of out into space, for instance, then it just needs these tiny little rocket blasters to kind of move it around the world. So it just, the first kind of first few minutes is the hardest, and then after that it becomes much easier. And that's exactly the same with habits. So the hardest bit is the first few moments or first few days to actually get that momentum. So that inertia. So inertia is that the kind of the pressure to actually start moving. And once you get that first pressure, the push, that first initial push, then it gets into that momentum and it builds and it gets easier and easier and easier. And then every action is an equal and opposite reaction. So every time, to use that rocket analogy, every bit of blaster from the rocket, that fuel, then it's going to get a reaction. So the more power it uses up initially, then it's going to create that kind of forward momentum, and it's going to make it much easier. So using that analogy, it's exactly like habits. So that first few days is so difficult. And then once you get that initial getting over that inertia, and then you get momentum, then it gets much easier. And then you don't even have to think about it. So some of the habits that I've built up over time, I don't even think about it now. I just do it automatically. I'm going to kind of cover this in this topic today. And think of it more like, yeah, this kind of rocket analogy is quite good. And it takes like 60 days or some of this research is kind of, they talk about different research using different days, but around 60 days to form a new habit. So once it takes a number of different days to build this kind of habit. And then once you get that habit going, then it gets easier and easier and easier. And this is why people give up New Year's resolutions in the start of February. So people don't even get past February because they kind of give up these kind of, they don't get past this, the momentum. They don't get past the momentum before it becomes automatic. So that's essentially your why. So it makes life easier. Habits shape who you are. So there's a really great quote by Lao Tzu, this kind of Chinese philosopher. And he says that your thoughts create your actions create your habits create your character, and then your character creates your destiny. And I really like that. And that's so true with habits. So essentially you want to build habits every day, and we all have habits, whether we know about it or we don't know about it, if they're planned or they're not planned. And it's building good habits into your life, and it's going to make life much easier. So make life easier. Habits shape who you are. So these small habits make big differences over time. So yeah, control habits. You need to control your habits, or your habits are going to control you. So we all have habits, whether we know about it or not. So maybe we've got a habit of eating healthily, and that's great. Or maybe we've got a habit of eating not healthily. We have a chocolate bar every day. That's going to build up. That's not going to be very good for us long term, these daily habits. But if you have a banana every day, that's going to be a good thing over the long term. So, and habits, it's going to make it more likely to achieve that new thing. So building that habit is going to make it much more likely for success. So rather than momentum or motivation, I should say. So even if you wake up and you try and get motivated, it's not always going to be as successful as if you've got a habit and it just comes naturally to you, like a set morning routine. You don't even think about it, it just happens, you just do it, then that you're more likely to get success. And that's exactly what we want. On this channel, we want kind of success. We want more money into our pocket, more time in our day, and more happiness in our life. And if that's what you want, if that's what you're looking for, if that sounds good, then press that like button, subscribe to this channel, and tell a friend, send this link to someone else. This is Millennial Money Mindset on podcast. This is Millennial Money Mindset on YouTube. And we also have a money tips on TikTok, and come over to moneytips.org. So moneytips.org, we've got loads of free goodies that we give away, and we give a blog. We have a number of different goods. We give away a bite-sized version of my book, Millennial Money Mindset, or we give actually how to automate yourself to give yourself more me time. We give that away for free. So if that sounds great, just go along to moneytips.org, tips with 2 P's. Send us a message. Just there's a link on the website. Just send us a message, and then we'll send that free gift to you. So that's why you set habits. So let's go into how you can. What are actual habits? So essentially, they're a set of behavior that make up who you are. So who you are is down to your habits, your everyday habits, what you've done over years, what you've done each day. So, and this is going to make who you are over time. So it's your thoughts, your actions, your habits, your character, and then your destiny. So what is your daily routine? So as I said, I've got had a daughter. She's now 13 months, but I've realized that like a good solid bedtime routine is really helpful, because she knows what's coming next. She can get into a routine, and she gets into kind of a set pattern of what to expect and what she what she does each day. So this is so important. But we as adults as well, we also need to have a set daily routine. So for me personally, I have a morning routine. So it's not been as set and solid as it has been previous years, because I've been up kind of twice in the night because of my daughter, and the kind of sleep is so important. But for my book, Millennial Money Mindset, I wrote every day for 3 years. I got into a morning routine of writing. Even Christmas Day, I did some work on my book. And the outcome of that was Millennial Money Mindset. It was shortlisted by the Financial Times, and it's a best-selling book on Amazon. It's packed full of value. So if you want to get, it's like the ultimate guide of investing. It's literally boiled down like hundreds of books, investing books and personal finances books, to a 5-step method. So it's just a 5-step method to money mindset. So pick that up for £10, just over £10. I think it's like £11 on Amazon. You can get that in print, you can get that in Kindle, or you can get that in Audible version. So pick that up today, buy the book, and we also plant a tree for each book bought. So yeah, this is essentially how you build habits. So another really important habit is your environment dictates performance. So who you surround yourself is going to make it much easier for that habit to stick. So if you're in a group of friends who are all runners, for instance, and they encourage you to run, they knock on your door on a Sunday morning and drag you out of bed to go running, you're much more likely to get into a good habit and good running routine. Whereas if you are with friends who are unhealthy, they don't run, they then they don't have those habits, then it's going to make it much harder for you to get into a healthy running routine or become healthy if that's your goal. So there's a real great, I think it's Tony Robbins that talks about we become the 5 people we spend the most time with. So this is we almost through osmosis, we kind of become the people surrounding us and we don't even realize it. And so if we surround ourselves with successful people, or surround ourselves with healthy people, or surround ourselves with wealthy people, we're much more likely to get the traits that the people we surround ourselves with. And if we surround ourselves with unhealthy people or negative people, or potentially people who don't read, for instance, then you're much more likely to pick up their habits just through our environment. And so it's really good to get kind of start picking up other people's habits. So build, you could join a new club, or even you could get start meeting new people. There's plenty of groups like Meetup is great these days with technology, or you could even use mentors that are online. For instance, you can watch YouTube channels, you can subscribe to Millennial Money Mindset is a great example, or you can listen to audiobooks that kind of, as you're walking around, you're going to pick up habits from these people. There's a really good book, 4 Hour Workweek, Tim Ferriss, and there was one of his other books, I think it's called Tools of Titan, and he interviewed like hundreds of people, all successful people. And I remember I was listening to that when I was painting this house, the house I live in Oxford. And you're just picking up kind of tips and tricks from these successful people, from the best people in who are wealthy or successful or who have really healthy habits. And it's amazing, just by listening to this book, I was just picking up their habits and their tips and tricks and techniques. So you could do that yourself. Listen to podcasts, Millennial Money Mindset, listen to the audiobook, Millennial Money Mindset, and you're going to start picking up, without even realizing, without even actually making it that difficult, you're going to start picking up these habits yourself. So environment dictates performance, and we become the 5 people we spend the most time with. So set yourself up for success. So the next one is what? So as I mentioned earlier, so we start habits. It takes about 60 days to start a habit. So it's breaking through that momentum of that kind of the barrier of becoming that old person. We want to become a new person. We want to see ourselves as this new person. And it's about, once we get past that initial inertia, like that, the rocket ship example we use, once you get past that initial kind of rocket, the blasting out the atmosphere, then it becomes easier and easier and easier. And that's what you want to get to. You want to get to this kind of, you want to make it as easy as possible to have these new habits. So 60 days. So for me, I realized I was getting these headaches. I was like, why am I getting these headaches? And I kind of looked at what I was eating, what I was drinking, what I was kind of exercising. And I realized I was hardly drinking any water. I was drinking lots of coffee, but I wasn't drinking any water. So I set up this kind of habit that I was going to drink water and make it as easy as possible. It sounds so silly, it sounds so easy, but I found it quite difficult to actually remember to drink water. So and I got to the end of the day, I was like, I haven't drunk the water I was meant to drink. So the way I did it, the first thing I did when I went downstairs was to drink water, have a cup right there in front of you to make it so easy for you to drink water. And now whenever I get up, I instinctively, the first thing I do, I don't even think about it now because I've been doing this for about 3 years now. The first thing I do is just have a glass of water, and the amount of kind of benefit this has for my health. This takes me probably like 10 seconds, if that, but kind of the knock-on effects of that over years, that drinking water is going to benefit you kind of 10, 20 years time just by doing this simple thing of drinking water. So set yourself up for success. Make it easy as possible to have these habits, these successful habits. So motivation is kind of overrated. If we think kind of a motivation if we're trying to motivate ourselves, listen to kind of watch motivational videos or read motivational quotes, it's only going to be as it's only going to get us so far. But actually setting ourselves up for success by having this morning routine is going to be much more successful, and having these habits. So these habits are going to lead us to success. And one of the best concepts from this book, Atomic Habits, was actually to change your identity. So this was really profound for me. So actually change your identity. So in his book, James Clear, he talks about there's 3 ways to start a habit. So he says there's an outcome, what do we want to achieve? There's a process, and then we become the identity. So what most people do, we set out our outcome, we think, what do we want to become? So maybe that's to drink water or to exercise, for instance. Let's use exercise. So to exercise, we think, yeah, we want to run a marathon. So we think, yeah, we sign up for a marathon, and then we think about what the process is. So this means we're going to have to run, twice a week, for instance. And then after we start running, once we start doing the marathon, then we see ourselves as a runner. But what James Clear does in this book, Atomic Habits, which is really profound, is actually he switches this around. He says, no, that's not the way to do it. He actually says we should have our identity first, and then we should have a process, and then the outcome that we want. So if we want to run a marathon, we first want to see ourselves as a runner. And this is really profound. So actually, we don't actually think the outcome. We think, actually, I'm a runner. And if we see ourselves as a runner, then we start doing things that runners do. We start eating healthily. We start putting our shoes on in the morning. We start going for a run because we're a runner after all. So why wouldn't we go for a run? So this is really profound. So, and it's a kind of a core shift. So our identity is here in the middle, the process is here, and then the outcome is on the outside. So we often think of this kind of surface level outcome, what we want in our habits, and then we think about the process, and then finally we become kind of the identity after we do these habits, or once we start setting up, we start running, or we actually start setting off for that marathon. But to have that mindset switch is really profound, and it's actually to start thinking about this identity. Start visualizing yourself as a person who is a runner. Start seeing yourself. If you want to read more books, start seeing yourself as a reader. If you want to see yourself as a writer, start writing. And this is really profound. And it was a big shift, a big paradigm shift for me when I was writing my book, Millennial Money Mindset. As I said, I wrote every day for 3 months. But first of all, I saw myself, let's become a writer, actually see myself as a writer. And what do writers do? They write. So I made it easier for myself. So I had a morning routine that everything, as soon as I woke up, the first thing I did after my glass of water was to start writing. So I have a laptop, I have an area where I go to, and then before I log on to social media or kind of the internet and get kind of or bombarded by emails, I just start writing. And every day I did that to create my book, Millennial Money Mindset. And the outcome was my book. And I wouldn't have done it without having this kind of habit and having this seeing myself as a writer. I even had to set a timer. There's a thing called a Pomodoro technique where you set a timer. So I set a timer for 60 minutes. I have to put music in so I'm not even disturbed. Classical music, so is no words, so I don't kind of sing along to the music. But that's my morning routine, and I have to do that. I have to be almost disciplined. That the first thing I do after I have my glass of water is start writing. And now it's a habit. Everything I do now, the first thing I do is this morning routine that I set up. And the other thing that I've started doing, as I said earlier, is to add into exercise into my morning routine. So I've done that today, and let's see how if this continues. So that's essentially what a habit is. So how do you do this? So we kind of touched a bit on how, but we're going to go deep dive into this. So essentially make it easier. So if you want to be a reader, take a book everywhere you go. So if you're on a tube, take a book in a bag. If you want to listen to a book, if you want to read a book, put it on Audible book. So listen to it on Audible. And then, so whenever you're in dead time, so if you're walking to the bus, just put it on headphones rather than kind of people always get to the end of the day and say, oh, Neil, I haven't had time to read, or they get into a habit of watching TV rather than reading. So you want to make it as easy as possible. And then also so know what you want. So Stephen Covey, in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he says, begin with the end in mind. So know what you want. If you want to start running a marathon, actually knowing that in advance is going to be much more powerful than if you didn't know where you want to get to. If you had no goals or no habits set up or no kind of guidance where you want to get to in life, then it's going to make it much harder, because you don't know where you're going to go. You're going to kind of be floating all over the place. So have goals. The amount of research that's available, it says that you can double your income over a lifetime just by writing down your goals. So I'm a big believer in goals. I have a kind of a goal sheet here that I have at the back. Every year I kind of set up my goals. My goals are at the back. Then I review them. How do they go? What have I done well? What haven't I done well? I have to have this discipline in myself to achieve the goals that I set for myself. So that's it. Know what you want. Begin with the end in mind. So then the next one is, the only way things are going to change is when you change. So we can want things to change all we want. We can think and grow rich, but there's nothing going to happen until we take action. So we need to take action, action, action. So we actually have to set ourselves, so we can set kind of a lovely plan or a lovely morning routine, but nothing's going to happen until you actually start, actually doing the work. You have to actually get up and do it. So that's the next step. So actually take action. So the only way things are going to change is when you change. And then the inner win comes before an outer win. So for instance, this book I think is an outer win for me, but the thing that came first was the inner win of me being disciplined and having this morning routine and writing every day. So that's an inner win for me. That's beating my little person inside of me that's telling me when I wake up every morning, no, stay in bed. You have this inner battle with yourself that you want to be in a comfy duvet and not wake up, especially when it's cold, to get up and actually do the work. But you're going to have this inner battle with yourself. And so an inner win comes before an outer win. So yeah, just to have to beat that battle and knowing where you want to get to is really, really powerful. And then you can do things like automate it. So technology today is amazing. Don't make it hard on yourself. There's really great things like you can set up a savings habit that just goes out of your bank every month or into an investment platform that every month £500 goes into an investment platform, and you don't have to think about it, and you don't have to worry about it, you don't have to stress about it. And I am amazed that I bang on about this all the time, to pay yourself first and automate it. But loads of people I meet still haven't done this. So if you want, there's some free training. I can attach a link down below, or go onto my website, moneytips.org, and send there's how to automate your savings, or how to automate your finances to give yourself more me time. And this is going to make everything much easier. My goal with this channel and with my business and with the books I write is to make your life easier, make more money in your pocket, more time in your day, and more happiness in your life. So this is a real a passion of mine about habits, because it has changed the way my life. So I wouldn't have the book today, Millennial Money Mindset. I wouldn't have these business money tips, and I wouldn't be talking to you today if I didn't have these habits set up. So for me, habits is massive, and it's one of the biggest things that you can do with your life. And as I mentioned, the Habits and Atomic Habits was the biggest, was the most talked about book on the podcast, Millennial Money Mindset. We've got over 50 episodes there, so check those out. Just type in Millennial Money Mindset on your preferred podcast provider, or Google Millennial Money Mindset, or go to moneytips.org, and there's a link there to go straight to the podcast. And this is Millennial Money Mindset YouTube channel. So thanks so much for joining us. Please like, please subscribe, and please tell a friend. So we've gone through habits. We've gone through why. So briefly, so it makes life easier. Habits shape who you are, and you're more likely to achieve the thing that you want in life by setting up habits. So we talked about what is a habit. So it's a set of behaviors. They make up who you are. And we use that quote. So thoughts create actions, create habits, create character, creates destiny. And that's a really profound quote from Lao Tzu. And we talked about a daily routine and how I have a morning routine. Do you have a morning routine? Put in the comments below what's your morning routine. And then we talked about environment dictates performance. So you're more likely to be successful if you're surrounded by people who have already achieved that goal. So I'm a money coach. If you want to achieve the goals in your life, then send me a message and we can meet one-to-one. We've got group coaching, and we've also got online training as well. So we've got 3 levels of service that are going to get you to where you want to be in life. We're going to put money into your pocket, time your day, and happiness in your life. So send me a message. There'll be a link somewhere around here, or just send me a message on whatever platform you're listening to, and let's have some accountability. You're much more likely to achieve your goals if you have an accountability partner like a money coach. That's what I do with my clients. So we talked about making it easy. So we talked about those 60 days, and it's much harder the first initial few days, and it becomes easier and easier and easier. Then we also talked about it was changing your identity. So before you change the outcome, change the process. It's much better to change your identity, who you believe you are. And this is quite profound. And yeah, I thought that was, for me, that was really profound. So think yourself as a reader, think yourself as a runner, think yourself as a writer before you actually set up before you actually set up the process. So yeah, make it easy for yourself. Know where you want to get to in life. And the only thing that's going to change is when you change. So we're in January here. So if you want to make it happen, give me a shout, give me a message, give me a comment down below, and I can join you for money coaching if you want to get to where you want to get to with your investing goals, become financially independent and retire early, have money confidence, and be self-reliant with your money, not worry and stress about the ups and downs of the market, not worry about if you lose your job, for instance, you're going to have an emergency fund that's going to cover you for any emergencies. You're going to have massive peace of mind, and you're going to feel that great feeling inside that you're not going to worry if you put your card on when you get payment and have that stressful feeling of, actually, do I have money in my account? That's all going to evaporate when you have your money handled. So my name's Neil Doig. I'm the founder of Money Tips. I'm the author of the book Millennial Money Mindset. If you want the fruits, you need the roots. The host of Millennial Money Mindset podcast, and the host of Millennial Money Mindset YouTube channel. Thanks so much for joining us. Inner win comes before an outer win, remember. So yeah, please like, please subscribe, and please tell a friend. Hopefully this has been useful. So thanks so much, and hope to see you again. Cheers.